Ministers who are here with us, and Deputy Ministers, the CEO of the Black Business Council, Mr. Matabane, and leaders from business and industry who are all here, and all colleagues and members of the media. Allow me to begin by thanking the Black Business Council for initiating this meeting. We are all keenly aware of the challenging economic climate that the country is going through, and also the urgency with which we have to take a number of steps to improve the business and investment climate in our country with a view of creating jobs and improving the living conditions of the people of South Africa. It is therefore encouraging that the black business sector, particularly as led by the Black Business Council, is keen in these very testing and trying times to meet with government to discuss a variety of issues that have to do also with how continue collectively to get involved in growing our economy. Our success as a country depends on bringing social partners together and being able to use all available platforms for us to engage. And black business is a very important player in all this because it is an influential voice in articulating the position of the business community around key national economic issues. But what is also pleasing is that they don't only end with articulating economic issues, they also articulate social issues that impact on the lives of our people. You are to be commended, Mr. Zungu and the Black Business Council, for your enduring commitment to be partners in driving economic transformation and national development in our country. We've just concluded the second South African Investment Conference, which resulted in 63 rand of investment commitments. As we look set to reach our goal of raising 1.3 trillion rand in investment over 5 years, what was most encouraging was that domestic investment in our economy is on the rise, thus demonstrating that local business, South African business, continues to have confidence in the economy of our country, and they demonstrate this by the commitments that they made at the conference, but the investments that they continue to plow into our economy. At the inaugural investment conference in 2018, local companies committed in the region of 157 billion rand. This year, they committed just over 262 billion rand to be invested in our economy. What this says to us is that local business confidence is slowly but surely returning and is on the rise. This one says advisedly because, as they say in the business sector, confidence is what drives investment. And the level of confidence, therefore, we see as being on the rise, as demonstrated by the level of investments that they are committing. Of course, we welcome foreign direct investment, but it is our local businesses and industries that we really want to see plowing capital black into our economy. Local business must be at the forefront of our national investment drive. When you reinvest in our economy, it gives confidence to foreign direct investors that this is a good place to bring their money to. What this trend signals is that our economic reform agenda is gaining traction. People respond to a market that they can see is reforming, is growing, and attracting money to itself. It suggests that there is less reticence in the local business community to commit capital to new operations or to expand existing operations. Since taking office at the beginning of last year, we have worked consistently to address the concerns of business. We have worked to improve policy certainty and the ease of doing business. We've worked very hard to remove regulatory and impediments, maintain macroeconomic stability, reduce public debt, and fix our state-owned enterprises. Policy reform has taken place in key areas like mining, oil and gas, telecoms, energy, and in immigration. We've taken measures to reduce the cost of doing business, and we continue to do so as we implement these measures, including reductions in rail and port tariffs, which were raised by the business community as a particular area that they wanted us to focus on. Guided by the recommendations of the Presidential Panel on Land Reform, we are working on the implementation of our accelerated land reform program. Whilst Parliament is in the process of implementing the decisions that were taken by Parliament in this regard on land reform. We have a new enhanced industrial strategy that's founded on partnerships between government, industry, and labor. We recently concluded our master plans in the poultry and clothing and textile sectors. Master plans are in development for other industries as well, with high growth potential such as automotive, gas, chemicals and plastics, metals, renewable energy, agricultural, agro-processing, and high-tech ICT industries. Now, these master plans also have an element of implementation, not only in South Africa but globally. And the Minister of Trade and Industry, since the master plans have been put in place, is already on a huge gallop to interact with various countries around the world who we trade with, so that the master plans that we've got can gain more traction, can gain more life, and looking at granular things like the invoicing, the under-invoicing that takes place as goods are brought into our country, and tariff regimes and all that. So a lot of wonderful initiatives are underway. An investment and infrastructure office has been announced and is being set up in the presidency to coordinate the country's investment strategy and infrastructure drive. And Dr. Ramaphosa is heading that office, and already we're getting started on a very good footing. We are in the process of setting up the infrastructure fund to leverage investments from financial institutions, multilateral development banks, asset managers, and commercial banks. And this is going to bring the strength and the power of money that we will be able to mobilize from both government as well as the private sector, and utilizing all these sources of money, sovereign wealth funds, and many others. Measures to stimulate the economy must be matched by prudent fiscal policies and sound macroeconomic management as well. The newly appointed Presidential Economic Advisory Council will contribute to greater coherence and consistency in the implementation of economic policy, and will advise on policies to spur inclusive growth. Strengthening governance at our state-owned enterprises and restoring their finances to health is vital if we are to rein in public debt. And in this regard, energy security is critical if local industries and if our economy indeed is to flourish. The ESCOM board, working together with government, continues to pursue turnaround plans to address its huge debt, its liquidity problems and operational challenges. The appointment of a new permanent group chief executive officer at ESCOM is an important step towards restoring stability and forging a sustainable path on this strategic entity. We are undertaking these measures in support of the overriding effort to address the unemployment crisis in our country. In my monthly meetings with leaders of business, as well as labor, communities, and government that are meant to track commitments made at last year's Job Summit, we are focused on the practical work needed to protect existing jobs and to create new ones. As a presidency, we have been very much at work with stakeholders inside and outside government on a package of interventions to create pathways for young people into economic activity. Ours is a singular determination to improve the business climate and also to implement the reform that is necessary to attract more investment and create more jobs. But it is also to stabilize a number of institutions in our country so that we reposition them to be able to play a very effective role in the economy of our country. Ultimately, it is the private sector, though, that are the real creators of the bulk of the jobs that our country needs. In fact, we rely on the private sector to be the key drivers of job creation. That is why engagement such as this one is very critical for us. We need the private sector to work with us to remove the impediments that exist in the business environment so that business is able to take the lead in creating jobs and opportunities for our people. As government, our role is to facilitate the creation of a conducive climate, and our role is that of being supportive. We need you as the private sector to work with us to fundamentally transform the economy of our country. As representatives of black business, you have a central role to play in the national effort to change the structure of our economy, to ensure that it is representative, but also to make sure that it is inclusive and benefits all our people. Your experiences at the rock face of business transformation must serve as a guide as we seek to build on our achievements and address our shortcomings. Your insights are particularly important as we work to strengthening the implementation of the broad-based black economic empowerment policies that our government has embarked upon and has promulgated, which you in the main have embraced, to ensure that they achieve far-reaching and sustainable empowerment. To fulfill this purpose, it is essential that broad-based BEE contributes to inclusive economic growth and job creation. We should all be concerned about the slow pace of transformation in the workplace, and particularly in the private sector. This necessitates some serious introspection by business and clear strategies to promote employment equity. We know that black businesses who do work for the state have a myriad of challenges, especially around late payment for the services and the goods that they have provided to government. Despite the introduction of a 30-day payment stipulation, We know that it is not being uniformly adhered to. There are certain pockets and entities in government that are adhering to it, wonderfully so. And yet we also know that there are others that are not yet doing so. We're therefore working very hard to fix the problem in this regard. The Black Business Council has always maintained that business does not only have a responsibility to its shareholders, but that it has a much broader responsibility. And so therefore business has an equally important role to play in building a more inclusive economy and society. And business must be the drivers of development and play a role in resolving our key national challenges of poverty and inequality. We are reassured, colleagues, by the faith that black business has in this country and the confidence that it also has in its government. We value your input on what more can be done to unlock the economy, which sectors should still be tapped to grow our economy, and what strategies can have the greatest effect. And it is with this in mind that we're so pleased that we're able to have this interaction with you as the Black Business Council. And I wish to thank you once again for initiating this engagement. And I look forward to the discussions that we are going to have this morning. And thank you very much for being here. We know that, as Madiba used to say, that when business people come to meet with government, they are actually sacrificing the time when they should be making billions and billions of rands. So we apologize for interrupting your whole process of making the billions and billions of rands by coming to spend time with us. But nonetheless, we are so delighted to see you all. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you. I hand over to you, President.